Welcome, everyone, to today's Town of Chatham Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. The date is September 8th, 2022. This meeting is being recorded and will be available shortly hereafter for scheduled and on-demand viewing on any smartphone or tablet device. If anyone else is recording the meeting, please let us know. Pursuant to Governor Baker's July 16, 2022, signing of an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, including the extension of his March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. This meeting of the Chatham ZBA is being conducted via in-person and remote participation and shall afford adequate alternative means of public access via Microsoft Teams by calling the phone number 1-508-945-4410, and then you have to punch in the conference ID number, which is 920-198-137, then hit the pound. Or you can join the meeting online via Microsoft Teams through the link in the posted agenda. Despite our best efforts, we may not be able to provide for real-time access, and we will post a record of this meeting on the town's website as soon as possible. In accordance with town policy, the public can speak to any issue, hearing, or business item on the agenda during the meeting when recognized by the chair. First, we need to have a roll call by all board members to authorize this hybrid form of meeting.
Buck approves this form of meeting.
Bill approves.
Megan approves.
David S. Nixon approves?
Randy approves.
David H. Veach, I approve.
Okay. I would ask that anyone here or a citizen joining us via the Microsoft Teams, please give us the last four digits of your phone number and your name. I think everyone here knows in general, but I'll give it a quick one too, how the meeting is conducted. First of all, the hearing notice will be read by the lady to my right, who is Sarah B. Clark. She is the PPO for the town. That's the Principal Permitting Officer. We would then have a presentation. Then I would ask for anyone who wishes to speak in favor to do so, whether here or on Microsoft Teams. I would then read any and all letters. Then I would ask for anyone who wishes to speak either against or has a specific question to do so. We would then have questions by the board members. When we were finished with that, then we would close the meeting and go into deliberations. Deliberations are amongst ourselves unless a board member introduces into the discussion someone who is given some sort of testimony. We would then have a vote in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. To be successful, you have to have a supermajority. That means of the 5 votes, 4 have to be in the affirmative. 3 does not do it. Voting today, we have Buck, Bill, no, I'm sorry, not, Bill is taking my place, and on the 22nd, Megan, Dave, Randy, and myself. Are there any questions? Oh, first of all, we need to approve 3 sets of minutes.
The first set is of July 28th.
I move to approve the minutes of July 28th.
And Dave Veach seconds.
And we need a roll call vote. Buck?
Buck votes yes.
Megan?
Megan votes yes.
Randy?
Randy votes yes.
Dave Veach votes yes.
I vote yes. Secondly?
Next set is August 11th.
I move to approve the minutes of August 11th, 2022.
Dave Veach seconds.
Again, a roll call. Buck?
Buck votes yes.
Megan?
Megan votes yes.
Randy votes yes.
Now, for August 25th, I have a very slight adjustment.
Okay, we got to finish the vote on the 11th.
Oh, I
So please say
I
yes.
vote yes.
Okay, and I say yes.
Now,
Okay.
so on page 7, there is up and near the top of the page, there's a discussion about the overall main roof plane, which on the has been spelled P-L-A-I-N. I would recommend you change that to P-L-A-N-E.
Didn't Maine have an E?
Plane, the roof plane.
No, Maine
Maine, what?
have an E.
Maine have an E? Not that Maine. Which Maine?
Bad joke. Proper response.
Yeah, it's the 25th,
All right, that's
August
the end of
25th.
that.
So I move to approve the minutes of 8:25 as amended by Mr. Veach.
And I second that.
All right. Vote, Buck?
Buck approves.
Megan?
Megan approves.
Randy?
Randy approves.
Dave Veach approves.
And I approve. Okay, now, we have continuation requests. First one, please, Sarah.
Application number 22-006, Casa Investments, Inc., care of William F. Riley Esquire, P.O. Box 707, Chatham, Mass. 02633. Owner of property located at 322 and 324 Bridge Street, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessors Map 16B, Block 13, Lot 4A. The applicant seeks to enlarge, extend, or change two non-conforming dwellings on a non-conforming lot via the demolition of the existing dwellings and shed and the construction of two new dwellings and a garage. The existing dwelling at 322 Bridge Street is non-conforming in that it is located 15.6 feet from the road, 24.9 feet from the westerly abutter, and has a building height of 30.5 feet. The existing dwelling at 324 Bridge Street is non-conforming in that it is located 15.1 feet from the westerly abutter. The existing shed is non-conforming and then is located 6.9 feet from the westerly abutter. The proposed dwelling at 322 Bridge Street will be non-conforming in that it will be located 15.6 feet from the road where a 40-foot setback is required, 13.4 feet from the westerly abutter where a 25-foot setback is required, and have a building height of 31.6 feet where 30 feet is the maximum allowed. The proposed dwelling at 324 Bridge Street will be non-conforming in that it will be located 13.8 feet from the westerly abutter where a 25-foot setback is required. The proposed garage will be non-conforming in that it will be located 18.1 feet from the westerly abutter where a 25-foot setback is required. The lot is non-conforming in that it contains 23,724 square feet where 40,000 square feet is required in the R40 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 6, and Section 5B of the Protective Bylaw. This was continued from February 24th, 2022, April 14th, and June 23rd, 2022.
We received the following letter from Riley and Norcross LLC, dated September 7th. On behalf of the applicant, I hereby request a continuance of this matter to October 13th, 2022, as previously discussed with Sarah Clark. Thank you for your attention. Signed, William F. Riley. Any discussion? Bob?
I believe the first date of this hearing was January. Is that,
February 24th.
oh, I'm off. And now we're in September. This will be the fourth continuance?
That's correct.
I'm not sure what all the problems are, but 6 or 7 months, they file applications before they really know what they want to do, and then they start changing it. I'm not in support of approving this request.
Yeah, I think, as I understand it, Buck, there's always been some difference of opinion between the architect, the applicants, and the attorney. And I don't think they've ever been on the same page. So maybe they will be now. I don't know. I don't know. I can't tell you more than that. Sarah?
So the final plan set came in after the advertisement for this meeting. So I wasn't able to re-advertise the hearing as it should be advertised because right now this is incorrect saying there's two dwellings. I received the plan set on the 21st. The ad went out prior to that. I wasn't able to get it to the paper in time. So therefore, they couldn't go ahead with this advertisement as written. We do have the new plan set. I have the new advertisement ready to go for the October 13th meeting.
So I took the time to review the June 23rd meeting, and I listened to the owner himself, without representation, stand here in this room and tell us he was going to make sure everything was going to run correctly, and he had the plans all done, and everything was ready to go. And the only reason we're in September was to accommodate some other friends of the, let's say, of the abutters. And I feel it's important to send a message that this thought of continue has to be a little more serious. Might not change anybody's opinion, but I'll stand my ground.
Bill?
So was the mix-up, Sarah, on our end, or was this something that they didn't provide?
I hadn't received the revised plans in time.
Okay. If I were voting, I would agree with Buck. I mean, 3 times, I looked at the minutes as well from June, and I remember the same thing being said. It just over and over and over again, and then not being ready or not being prepared is, frustrating for all of us when we have a number of applications that we have to meet 4 times a month to hear. So I have an issue with it as well.
Megan?
I mean, I'm a little torn. I tend to agree with you, though, because especially in light of the fact that we have so many applications coming through, and we have had to put other applications off farther because the meetings are full, I would probably tend to err on the side of Buck.
Randy?
So notwithstanding everything that's been said, I would sort of tee off of Buck's point that he wants to make a point to make sure that they take it seriously and don't just keep on pushing it along. So what I would do is move to grant the continuance with no further continuances unless there's a documented emergency. That's what I would throw out there.
Dave?
And I, yeah, I will second that. I understand Buck's concerns and frustrations, and I'm starting to have more of them myself in some regard. But I think I don't, as a practical matter here, I would rather move this one down the line and just kind of generally let it be known among people that we're going to look more carefully, perhaps, at this practice and how we might improve some of what's been going on.
Yeah, I agree with that comment, Dave, because the problem with not approving that today, there's no representation here. So what are we going to do? Have the hearing with no one here to present it? Or the other thing would have been, the other opportunity they would have had, which would be to withdraw it, and again, they're not here to do that. So while I think we should make the statement and let it be known, I think to enforce that today would cause hardships to everybody involved, and I don't think we need to do that.
So before I rebut that, I'm going to say I liked Randy's proposal, and I'm willing to go along with it in the spirit of compromise. The fact that they're not here sometimes is considered a strategic a reason that knowing that if we're not there, they wouldn't do that. So that would kind of get me to push even a little harder. But I'll support.
No, I hear
I'll
you,
support
Buck.
Randy.
Okay, Megan, what do you think?
I'll support Randy.
Okay, all right, okay.
So should I?
Please make a motion.
So I move to grant the continuance with no further continuances unless there's a documented emergency.
And Dave Veach seconds.
All right, we need a vote on that. Buck?
Squeeze my hand. I vote yes.
Megan?
Megan votes yes.
Randy?
Yes.
Dave Veach votes yes.
And I vote yes, okay.
And that was a continuance to October 13th,
Yes, it
correct?
was.
October.
Application number 22-074, DCH Properties LLC, care of William F. Riley Esquire, P.O. Box 707, Chatham, Mass. 02633, agreed vendee of property located at 305 Main Street and 15 School Street, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 16C, Block 60, Lot 33. The applicant seeks to enlarge, extend, or change a non-conforming dwellings on a non-conforming lot. The existing dwelling at 305 Main Street is non-conforming, and that it is located 20.8 feet from Main Street and 12.4 feet from the westerly abutter, and within the setback to the Coastal Conservancy District floodplain elevation 11. The proposed addition to the dwelling at 305 Main Street will be non-conforming, and that they will be located 16.4 feet from the road where a 25-foot setback is required. and the installation of the new foundation will increase the building height within the required 15-foot abutter setback. The existing dwelling at 15 School Street is nonconforming as to road and abutter setbacks and will remain unchanged. The existing unnumbered dwelling to be demolished is nonconforming, and that it is located 12.7 feet from the southerly abutter and within the Coastal Conservancy District. The proposed reconstructed dwelling will be nonconforming, and that it will be located partially within the Coastal Conservancy District where a 50-foot setback is required. Also proposed is the construction of a new driveway as allowed by special permit under Section 4A3D of the bylaw. The existing building coverage is 2,941 square feet, 17.1%, and the proposed building coverage is 2,727 square feet, 15.9%, where 15% is the maximum allowed. The lot is nonconforming in that it contains 3 dwelling units where 1 would be allowed, and contains 17,156 square feet of buildable upland where 20,000 square feet is required in the R20 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Sections 6 and 9, and Sections 5B and 8D2B of the protective bylaw.
We received the following letter from Riley and Norcross LLC, dated September 7th. Please accept this as a request to continue zoning appeal for 305 Main Street, TCH Properties, to November 3rd, 2022. This continuance is necessary because this property is subject to the jurisdiction of the Historical Commission, and they have not yet made a final decision regarding the proposed modifications to this property. I have discussed this date with Sarah Clark. I believe that it is convenient to both the Appeals Board and to the client. Thank you for your attention. William F. Riley. Buck?
Buck votes yes.
Well, we didn't have a motion. I'm just looking for it. Do you have a question or a statement or?
I'm going to support it.
Really? Okay. Bill?
I have no comments.
Megan?
No comment.
We would have probably kicked it over anyway if he was here, given that we were missing that, so.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not at all surprised to see a request for a continuance on this. I did, this property has some history that I looked into in preparation for the meeting today, and there was a similar, although perhaps less extensive proposal that was made to us back in January of 2020, and it was presented, but then we continued it at the time because it had not yet even been filed with the Historical Commission then. So I think they're quite aware that they need to, and they did then had much difficulty with the Historical Commission, and a scaled back version came back and it was approved by Historical and then finally by us. So I would expect probably we'll see something different after the Historical Commission, unless they've changed their minds in a significant way. But I'm not surprised, and I'll be supporting continuance.
Randy?
So I move to continue it till the November date that was requested.
November 3rd.
November 3rd.
November 3rd.
Dave Veach seconds.
Need a vote? Buck?
Buck votes yes.
Megan?
Megan votes yes.
Randy
Randy?
votes yes.
Dave Veach votes yes.
And I vote yes. Okay.
Application number 22-066, Philip Gerard and Kelly Collins Gerard, care of William G. Litchfield Esquire, 330 Orleans Road, North Chatham, Mass. 02650. Owners of property located at 355 Old Comers Road, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 10I, Block 8, Lot SW 16A. The applicant seeks to enlarge, extend, or change a non-conforming dwelling on a non-conforming lot via the demolition of the existing garage and the construction of a new garage and addition. The existing dwelling is non-conforming in that it is located 8.3 feet from the easterly abutter and 18.2 feet from the westerly abutter, where a 25-foot setback is required. The proposed garage and addition will comply with all bulk and dimensional requirements of the bylaw, but is considered a substantial alteration, and under the second accept clause of Section 6 of Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, such substantial alteration requires the grant of a special permit. The existing building coverage is 2,123 square feet, and the proposed building coverage is 2,949 square feet, where 2,950 square feet is the maximum allowed. The lot is nonconforming in that it contains 27,420 square feet, where 60,000 square feet is required in the R60 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 6, and Section 5B of the Protective Bylaw.
Mr. Litchfield.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Bill Litchfield here on behalf of the applicants, Phil Garrett and Kelly Collins Garrett, who are in the front row. With them is their designer, Mark Zebrat of Zebrat McCarthy, and behind them are a couple of their neighbors who were thoughtful enough to come along in support of them, Bill and Tilda Bystrom. We are not seeking a continuance, and I did want to establish that first. And in fact, we are seeking a special permit for what we think is a fairly minor, and I think what you can find to be appropriate change to a non-conforming house on a non-conforming lot. If this hearing had taken several years ago, there wouldn't have been a hearing, because this is a completely conforming addition. This is a Bjorklund or Bransford appeal, in which you have the authority appropriately to make a determination whether what Kelly and Phil are proposing to do as designed by Mark is a McMansion. It is not. It is a modest change. As you saw, we went out there, the current garage had some problems. There was a fire there in February of 2021, and Phil and Kelly have solved a prior lifestyle problem, and they have moved from New York to Chatham, and they would like to make more use of the house. They'd like to replace the garage with a somewhat larger structure and connect it to the main house as shown on the Clark plan there. And they're also parenthetically going to be eliminating the shed in the lower left-hand side, which decreases coverage but also eliminates a nonconformity. The Bystroms have been gracious about not saying anything about the fact that the shed is partially on their lot. So we are eliminating the shed and thereby eliminating that particular nonconformity. So I will go into the criteria. You've seen the plans. What is proposed as to adequacy of site, including building coverage and setbacks, notwithstanding the existing nonconformities as to sideline and lot size nonconformities, the site is certainly adequate for a home built almost 70 years ago and modified several times over the years. Parenthetically, what exists there now is not a cupola. You could call it a turret, but it's not involved today. As proposed, the site remains adequate for construction of the replacement garage and for the connecting addition. There's no change in setbacks, except again for elimination of the encroaching shed, and the coverage is below the limit. As to coverage, Sarah was gracious in reminding us that because we are close to the coverage limit, that we need to be cautious of the corner board issue, so-called. Mark has taken that into consideration when he prepared the house plans, so we are very much aware of that. Wary was probably a better word. We are very much aware of it, and it's possible that when Mark does the actual building plans, we may shave a half an inch all the way around the house so that we don't have any problems. We like you, but we don't want to see you again in regard to this property. As to compatibility of size, the lot is in the mid-range for the neighborhood, as shown on the third page of the handout that you have, as is the house itself. Living area of about 2,300 square feet, 2,123 square feet of coverage. If you approve the special permit, it will remain compatible after the construction of the garage and the addition. The gross floor area and living area numbers remain consistent with neighboring properties, and very frankly, I'm not sure it matters. As you know from going out there, you can't see the house. It's completely shielded by the hedge along Old Comers Road. Anybody heading eastbound doesn't see it at all, and those heading westbound, because of that vegetation, get a very small view of it. Having said that, it'd be fine if you did see it, because Mark has done a nice job with it. As to the extent of increase in nonconformity, there is none. This is a Bjorklund or Bransford case. Coverage does increase, obviously, but it still conforms, and the proposal meets all bulk and dimensional requirements. As to suitability of site, it is a purely residential neighborhood, a residential lot, and an impact on the natural environment. The top of the plan, it's not quite shown there, is Stillwater Pond, but the house itself is 150 feet away from Stillwater. We're 80 feet from the Inland Conservancy District, thank you, Sarah, and all of the work is outside of the Conservation Commission's jurisdiction. I think you can find the site to be suitable for the change and find it to be without impact on the natural environment. As to scale, sighting, mass, views, and vistas, the house is presently consistent as to scale and sighting consistent with the neighborhood. And again, given the surrounding vegetative screening, there's no impact on views and vistas. The scale, if you approve the special permit, will remain appropriate. The architectural plans, what Mark has done, echo the existing home. There's virtually no impact on streetscape, again, due to the hedge. As to compatibility of use, there's no change. It's a residential use, adequacy of water and sewer. We have town water in 3 bedrooms. The chair will later read a comment from Judy Giorgio, our health agent. I spoke to her after she made that comment, and we are going to revise the floor plan or modify the floor plan to create a 6-foot casement entry into the study off of the main living area of the house. As Mark had drawn it, it had French doors, glass French doors, which we felt dealt with the privacy issue, but Judy has asked us, thank you, Sarah, Judy has asked us where the cursor is to eliminate the French doors with the glass, which we will. It'll be a 6-foot casement casement entry, and we are also dealing with a deed restriction in regard to any concerns about the studio. And parenthetically, this is not a so-called studio. Phil is a professional musician. And while he is a skilled professional musician, Kelly would like him a little bit further away from time to time. So it will, in fact, be a real studio. As to traffic flow and safety, there is no issue there. There is no change. The issue, as you know, is whether the proposed construction of a larger garage, replacing that which was partially burned, a connecting section, and an addition to the house, all of which conform to the bylaw, whether that is substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the current non-conforming structure on a non-conforming lot, aspects of which apply to most houses in the neighborhood. Coverage will remain below the maximum limit if you approve the special permit. We'll make sure that we don't have any corner ward problems, and again, the house is largely invisible. The petitioners, Kelly and Phil, consulted with their neighbors. All 3 immediate abutters have written in support, and 2 have been gracious enough to come here today, which I think shows neighborhood support for the proposal. So in light of the criteria in the plans, I think you can find the proposed changes are not substantially more detrimental. We'd certainly be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Litchfield. Is there anyone here or on Microsoft Teams who would like to speak in favor of this application? If so, please indicate now you'd like to join the meeting.
I see no one that wishes to speak in support.
Then I will read the correspondence. First, we have a note from Judith Giorgio, health agent for the town of Chatham. She writes on 9/6, I have reviewed the plan to add an addition. The property is currently a 3-bedroom dwelling consisting of a total of 7 rooms. The proposed addition will add additional rooms for a total of 9. The new office study area must have a 6-foot cased opening and no doors, and the proposed room over the garage could easily be considered a bedroom due to the narrow doorway at the bottom that could be closed off. The Board of Health recently changed their bedroom definition for purposes of Title V to include the policy that states that where the total number of rooms for single-family dwellings exceeds 8, not including bathrooms, hallways, unfinished cellars, and unheated storage areas, the number of bedrooms presumed shall be calculated by dividing the total number of rooms by 2, then rounding down to the next lowest whole number. Using this calculation, we would consider this now a 4-bedroom dwelling and would need a BOH approval to add the additional rooms. Then we have a letter. This is from Charles Farfaglia. It's written on June 6th, and he is listed along with Patricia at 363 Old Commerce Road. We own the house located at 363 and are direct abutters to the house at 355. We reviewed the plans for their garage replacement and additions and support them. We have owned our house since 1999, and Phil and Kelly have been in their house for over 10 years. They're good neighbors and keep the best interests of the neighborhood and the town at heart. We believe that the plans and building design are in keeping with the character and the neighborhood and the Cape. Please feel free to contact me. Then we have a note. This is from Jim Blanchfield. He writes on June 3rd, this letter is to express my support for Kelly and Phil's application for a variance, well, it's not a variance, special permit for an addition to their home at 355. While not a direct abutter, my house is directly across the street at 358. Kelly and Phil have taken much time in designing their addition to blend well with their main home and with that of the neighbors. I encourage you to grant this addition. Then we have a letter dated June 2nd. It's from William and Tilda Bystrom. They write, Tilda and I are writing on behalf of our neighbors, Kelly and Phil, who have filed an application to rebuild their garage living area due to a fire. We have reviewed their plans and are full support of this project. Mark Zebrat was the architect for our addition, and his grandfather was the original builder of both our and Philly and Kelly's houses. Mark expressed to us that his goal was to keep the Cape Cod appearance in our addition, and I am confident the work he does on theirs will be as pleasing to the eye as ours. Thank you very much for your consideration of their building project. That's the end of the correspondence. I would now ask that anybody, either here or on Microsoft Teams, who wishes to speak either against this project or has a specific question, to please indicate they would like to join the meeting.
I see no one that wishes to speak in opposition or has a question.
Okay, we'll have questions from the board. We'll start with Bill.
No questions.
Megan.
I have no questions.
Randy.
Questions?
Dave.
I just want to check with Bill. That seems to me like a location where we would be looking to apply our standard conditions with respect to timing and of construction, et cetera. Do you have any objections to that, or what's?
I haven't had a chance to talk to Phil and Kelly directly, so if I may, I will ask you. The board, because of the congested summers that we have here, sometimes imposes a limit on exterior construction between June and Labor Day, give or take. Do you have a builder lined up?
We plan to start this in the earliest of the spring, so March, April of next year.
And is this something that?
I'm sorry,
Bill, could you
Yeah, I will
reiterate?
repeat that. The answer
I'm
is they'd
sorry,
like.
Kelly, because we're
I'm
still to
sorry.
the television, you have to go up there. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Kelly Collins-Garrett, and in answer to that question, I can confirm that we intend to start construction on this project in March or April, depending on the weather of next year.
And would we think, and Mark or David, is this something that could be, the exterior work could be completed by June 30th, what do you think?
I would not think so. So, yeah, I guess I'm thinking, I mean, I can see that they'll have cooperation in the neighborhood with respect to the construction activity and things. I think maybe I would consider proposing that not the ban on exterior summer construction, but the timing restrictions with respect to 8 to 5.
The time restriction
and not
would
on
be
weekends and
perfectly
things.
acceptable, and if I could, Mr. Chairman, Old Comers Road actually was moved probably 60 years ago, and the legal layout of Old Comers Road is something like 70 feet wide. There's a large swath of land to the west of Phil and Kelly's house, which is actually not privately owned, and
Okay.
we might be able to park there as well as with cooperation of neighbors.
Yeah, I could, because I was trying to think about that, what the aprons are, on the side of the road, but I even though I drive there a lot, I can't picture it, but that sounds to be, then, I think I would propose that form of. And then the only other thing, not really a question, but just to reiterate about Sarah's pointing out about being 1 square foot below. We've been having some difficulties with as-builts coming in, and so you need to really watch the process as well as the design, and that's all I do.
So, continuing on Dave's comments and Attorney Litchfield's, the applicants are new to the area, and I think it's pretty important that we understand what going over the maximum entails. And so my first question would be to Mr. Briggs. The as-built comes in at 2951. if it does, which is a foot over, even though we're going to trim a ½ inch around. First question is, does that mean if they come back, they would have to go for a variance as opposed to a special permit?
That is correct.
And has the attorney explained to his clients the change in the height of how much you have to jump to get a variance approved?
The exercise room as proposed with the studio would not be sufficient to give that sort of agility. So I will have that discussion, and we will not be back because we will come in at less than 2,950 square feet.
Great, thank you.
Megan, did you have something? No? Oh, okay.
Oh, I just think it goes to, that we should say that Mark is here and he's going to be the one doing the drawings for the builder, so I assume that it's not going to be an issue. I mean, given the fact that it's been brought up right in front of Mark, I'm sure it'll be fine. So I would fully support it.
Okay, we go into.
We're still
we
in
need a
questions,
motion?
yes. So I move to close the questions
Close the
and,
hearing and,
close the hearing and move to deliberations.
okay.
Dave Veach seconds.
That takes a vote. Buck?
Buck votes yes.
Megan?
Megan votes yes.
Randy votes yes.
Dave Veach votes
And I
yes.
vote yes. Okay, deliberations. Megan, you started on deliberations.
Yeah, I would just go with what I said. I think it's a good project. It matches the neighborhood well. They obviously have support of their neighbors, which is not only great, but also impressive when you have relatively new neighbors. So I think that's fantastic. So I would fully support it.
Randy?
Yep, so they've been there for 10 years, actually, so they're not really new. And I'm confident that this will be a great.
New.
All right. I've been here for 8 years, so I must be a real newbie, right? So I would support it.
Mr. Veach?
Yeah, first, nice job, Mark. This looks great. It really does. Certainly not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. It's a real improvement, improvement over the garage that's there, even in the condition it was in before it burned. It meets all of our criteria, and I will gladly support it.
Buck?
I have nothing new to add.
Bill?
Nor do I. I think it's a good project. It looks great.
Okay.
Wish you luck.
Randy, we need a motion, and that would include the specific of the condition.
So that would, so the conditions that we would be imposing would be, first, all construction activity and vehicles to be contained on-site or at a neighboring property with the permission of the property owner. And then between June 30th and Labor Day, no work shall be permitted on the weekends, and construction activity between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. only.
So I move to approve the application as conditioned.
Dave Veach seconds.
Okay, we need a vote on that. Buck?
Buck votes yes.
Megan?
Megan votes yes.
Randy votes yes.
Dave Veach votes
And
yes.
I vote yes. That's a unanimous decision. Thank you very much,
Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Litchfield. Thank you. All right. Okay, Sarah, let's go on to 22-079, please.
Application number 22-079, David P. and Deborah S. Valente, care of James M. Norcross Esquire, P.O. Box 707, Chatham, Mass. 02633. Owners of property located at 209 Forest Beach Road, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 3B, Block 28, Lot B25. The applicant seeks to enlarge, extend, or change a conforming dwelling on a non-conforming lot via the demolition of the existing dwelling and the construction of a new dwelling. The existing and proposed dwelling will comply with all bulk and dimensional requirements of the bylaw, but is considered a substantial alteration, and under the second except clause of Section 6 of Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, such substantial alteration requires the grant of special permit. The existing building coverage is 971 square feet, 11.7%, and the proposed building coverage is 1,225 square feet, 14.8%, where 15% is the maximum allowed. The lot is nonconforming in that it contains 8,275 square feet, where 60,000 square feet is required in the R60 zoning district. Strike that, I believe it's R20. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 6, and Section 5B of the protected bylaw.
Good afternoon, Jamie Norcross, representing David and Deborah Vellante. The Vellantes are in the audience with me today.
Incidentally, you missed by a hair of having to represent Mr. Riley on Main and School
Oh, okay.
and Bridge.
Oh,
Will, he needs to watch the meeting and see what we were talking about.
okay.
If you would convey that message, I'd appreciate it.
I will let them know.
Thank you very much.
Sure. So not to piggyback on the corner board issue. So Jay was reviewing the plans this afternoon and noticed that the engineer calculated the coverage on this project to the foundation instead of the corner boards. And if you went to the corner boards, it's going to kick us just over the 15%. So I talked to the engineer after I spoke to Jay earlier this afternoon. He can shrink the building, so that's going to match the 14.8% that you see on the plans today. We just wanted the board to be aware. We'd obviously like to go forward if we can. We just wanted to be upfront with what we determined this afternoon based on Jay's study of the plans.
So as I understand it, you'd like to go through with the presentation, knowing full well we can't take a vote until we have the new plans. Is that correct?
That's fine if you're unable to take a vote without the new plans, and if we could go through the presentation, get some feedback, and then since you have a lighter agenda today, perhaps we can just get this, again, if the board's in favor of the proposal, we can come back for a vote with the revised plan.
Yeah, I think unless any member of the board objects to that, I think since we're here, let's do it. Okay.
Okay, great.
Floor is yours.
So the Vellantes purchased this property about 2 years ago, and they started to use it more and more. They've found the need for additional living space. The existing three-bedroom house was built starting in the 1950s, and after reviewing options, the Vellantes determined it made more sense to tear down and rebuild as opposed to trying to do some sort of addition on the existing house. Neighborhood is a mixture of mostly small and medium-sized homes. Toby Turtle Road has a lot of the sort of older cottages still, while Forest Beach and some of the Aunt Carrie's and some of the other roads, Bayview, have more of the larger structures in the neighborhood. The proposed house, while larger than the existing structure, is by no means a large building and is compatible with the sizes of the neighboring properties. In terms of nonconformities, the lot is nonconforming as it contains just over 8,200 square feet where 20,000 square feet is required. Existing structure is nonconforming as it is located 20.6 feet from Toby Turtle Road, where a 25-foot setback is required. Existing structure is conforming as to coverage with a total of 11.7%. Proposed new three-bedroom home will meet all dimensional setbacks, so it's actually getting pulled back a bit from Toby Turtle to meet the 25-foot setback. Total building coverage at what will be 14.8% from the corner boards is also compatible with the 15% maximum allowed for this property. Similar to the application just in front of me, even though we meet setbacks and the bulk requirements because it's a non-conforming lot, it's considered a substantial alteration, and so that's why we're here today asking for a special permit. Going through the criteria, number one, adequacy of the size of the site, including but not limited to maximum lot or building coverage or setbacks. We believe the site is adequate for the proposal, and it meets all setbacks and will meet total building coverage. Compatibility of the size of the proposed structure with neighboring properties. As I mentioned, it's a mixture of homes in various sizes and styles in this neighborhood. A number of them have been updated over the years, and there are a number of newer or renovated structures in the area. We think the size of this structure is certainly compatible with the size of neighboring homes. And as you'll read, there are a number of letters in support from neighbors to the Vellantes project. Extent of the proposed increase in nonconforming nature, there is no increase in nonconformities caused by this proposal. Suitability of the site is certainly suitable for the proposed demolition and rebuild. There will be no negative impact on neighboring properties or the natural environment. Number 5, impact of scale, setting, and mass on neighborhood visual character. We don't believe there'll be any negative impact on neighborhood visual character. While the height of the building is increasing a bit, the design and size of the home is still in keeping with the characteristics of the neighborhood. Also, the applicants believe the design of the home is a real improvement from the existing structure. 6, compatibility of the proposed use, single-family residence in a residential neighborhood, and therefore it is compatible. 7, the property has an adequate Title V septic system. in response to Judy Giorgio's letter, we are going to be sending her existing plans of the existing interior to show the 3 bedrooms that currently are at the property, and 9 and 10. 9 is not applicable. There will be no increase or no negative impact on traffic flow and safety, no issue with noise and litter, and the property is served by town water and has connection for electrical services. That would be our presentation, Mr. Chairman, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone here or in Microsoft Teams who would like to speak in favor of this application? If so, please indicate now you'd like to join the meeting.
I see no one who wishes to speak in favor.
I'll read the correspondence. First of all, as Jamie referred to Judy's letter, Judith Giorgio, she writes on 9/6, the plan to demolish and rebuild this existing 3-bedroom dwelling is acceptable to me at this time. However, a floor plan of the existing dwelling will be required to confirm the existing number of bedrooms. The dwelling proposed with a partial crawl space foundation will meet the offset requirements to the existing septic system. Then we have a note. This is from Henry and Louise Cormier, and they write on 9/5. We are the owners of 8 Forest Beach Road Extension. We are writing to endorse this application. This improvement will result in an enhancement to the property and the entire neighborhood. Then we have an email. This is from Melissa Wright, 32 Waterview Circle. She writes on September 7th, my name is Melissa Wright, resident of South Chatham. I wanted to let you know that I reviewed the proposed project and definitely support it. Another email, this is from John Sweeney. He writes on August 26th. John's address is 314 Bayview Road. I'm writing as an abutter to express my support for the issuance of a special permit for the above referenced application. As the proposed dwelling will comply with all requirements of the relevant zoning bylaws, I see no reason not to support it. And we have another email from Dennis Lanane. He writes on September 5th. Let's see, his address is 155 Mill Creek Road. We are writing in support of the proposed project. We have been residents of South Chatham for 20-plus years and love seeing the improvements in the neighborhood. We 100% support the project and look forward to seeing the finished product. It will be a great addition to the neighborhood. And that was also from, beside Dennis, also Stephanie Ronzo. Another email. This is from Fred Wilson on September 4th. We have seen the plans that have been submitted for their new home at 209 Forest Beach Road. They are committed to keeping the new house compatible to other homes in the neighborhood. We ask the board to approve these plans so that Dave and Deb enjoy their new home for many years to come. Thank you. And that address is 219 Forest Beach Road. Another email. This is from somebody, Govastos. George, perhaps? Govastos? Jerry, thank you. Jerry Govastos. Writes on September 6th, as the owner of the home at 11 Toby Turtle Road, that is directly across the street from 209, I'm writing enthusiastically supporting the petition to demolish the existing dwelling and rebuild a new dwelling. As the owner of the oldest home in the neighborhood, circa 1772, I am always concerned that this lovely area tries to maintain its mix of small cottages and small to medium-sized homes. The size and home design fits this desire perfectly. I have spoken to some of the immediate neighbors, and they too are looking forward to a much-needed property improvement. Another email. This is from Armand Basse III, I believe. Yes. I'm writing it on September 6th, he writes, I am writing enthusiastically supporting the petition to demolish the existing dwelling and rebuild a new building. The size and house design fit perfectly. We have spoken to some of the neighbors, and they, too, are looking forward to a much-needed property improvement. In addition, we know the family as they live in our hometown in Harvard, Mass. Quality people. Thank you for this opportunity. Another email. This is from Sean and Charlene McCann. They write on September 8th. We wanted to email our support for the proposed rebuild. We've had an opportunity to talk with Deb and Dave and see their plans. I think it's a nice improvement to the neighborhood. Thank you. And that is the extent of the correspondence. Is there anyone in the audience or on Microsoft Teams who would like to speak either against this application or has a specific question? If so, please indicate on the screen now you'd like to join the meeting.
I see no one that wishes to speak in opposition or has a specific question.
All right, we'll have questions from the board. We'll start with Randy.
I have no questions.
Dave?
I have no question to you.
Bob?
Jamie, I'm doing this the old school way, so, and I'm maybe no good at math, but 14.8 of a lot containing 8,275 square feet is 1242, which is 17 square feet below the maximum. It's my understanding that drawing in computers and doing things with lasers and all that stuff is dead on. Unfortunately, and maybe Mr. Veach would like to weigh in on this, hitting the coverage within 5 feet, maybe sometimes it does, and maybe sometimes it doesn't. Is your client aware that if they go over the maximum, they have to come back for a variance?
I don't think they were previously aware, but they got a good education from sitting in the audience today. So, but I will speak with them.
I'm not, what I'm
Further
really
on.
saying is, based on what we've been learning and
Yeah.
hearing, it's wonderful to assume and think and believe in theory they're gonna hit it.
Right.
14.8, but I think the people in the trade know that sometimes that can be plus or minus more than 17 feet. That's my, my question is, does your client understand that?
Well, yeah, so we're gonna have to revise the plans anyway. So if there's some additional area that could be shaved off, perhaps that's a consideration to look into.
Thank you.
Bill?
Well, how many feet did the issue throw you over the 1225?
I don't have that number. Jay just calculated that it was over, but I don't think we knew. Do we know exactly, Jay? Did you?
I just did the calculation and arrived at the 1225 was the foundation measurement. I don't know what their overhang's
Yeah, I'm
gonna
not
be.
sure
If
what's
it's gonna be a typical 1.25 inch overhang all the way around the
It's gonna
perimeter,
hang over, okay,
but it was based on the foundation.
okay. Then, on this proposed site plan, there's a note on here that says, you have the approximate location of sewage system per BOH records. Then you have another note that isn't on the existing condition plan that says approximate location of sewage system and is pointing right to the middle of the house. What does that note refer to?
I believe that's an error from John O'Reilly with that second notation. You're correct. The septic's in the rear of the house, so it's the behind is where the system is currently and where it's going to stay.
Yeah,
We don't have any setback issues because it's a crawl space foundation, as Judy noted, so it's going to stay there. So that other notation is incorrect.
okay, that's it.
Kind of buffets what Buck had to say. Megan?
I have no questions.
So, Jamie, I think we've gone through the questions. Any concerns that we might have had should have been brought up at that time.
Okay.
Sarah, did you have something you wanted to add to this?
Yes, so just make sure notes are corrected on the site plan,
Yes.
please.
Yes.
And if you could please have Mr. O'Reilly add the building height calculations as well.
Sure.
Do you believe that the plans will be able, I know when you want to continue to, will you have the plans available and into me by September 28th? That gives you 20 days,
I don't see that's going to be a problem. I think John's motivated to make the corrections.
as well as the
Architect.
architect
Yep.
plans. Okay.
Okay, I think it needs to be continued at this point. We've asked our questions. We don't want to go any further. So if you would ask for a continuance, as of to what date do you want it, Jamie?
Sarah had mentioned there might be a date in October that we can make,
October 27th.
October 27th. So we would ask for a continuance until October 27th.
Okay. Randy?
So I would move to continue the matter till October the 27th.
And Dave Each seconds.
And we need a vote on that, Buck?
Buck votes yes.
Megan?
Megan votes yes.
Randy votes yes.
Dave Each votes yes.
And I vote yes. Thank you very
Great.
much.
Thank you very much.
All right. Is there anything else to be brought up in front of the meeting? Yes.
I have a question on the overhang and the measurement, and I know it's been answered before, but I'm asking again. Did that change at some point? The coverage being measured to the foundation as opposed to the corner boards? Not yours. I mean in general. Not yours. Yeah, I'm just curious.
We're talking to Jay about
Yeah.
that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you.
So your question was,
So this has come up at the last at least 3 meetings, I think, at this point. The measurement of the total coverage being measured from the foundation as opposed to being measured to the corner boards, from the
Right.
corner boards. Is that new, or is that just
not-
something that's
it's
come
not new.
to?
It's my interpretation. I've been here, I'll be here 5 years in November.
Okay,
So I brought this up in 2018. I came before the ZBA in 2018, 2019. I had a lot of resistance from builders and attorneys.
I wasn't
But we-
here.
No, I understand. We worked it, I thought we worked it out. We gave a little grace period, and it was in effect as of April 1st, 2020. So more than 2 years ago, it
But-
has been, my policy is to follow it by my interpretation.
okay, so given the lag time in building, I sort of
Right.
see why that's happening now. Okay.
So one of the big issues we have also is eaves, when eaves come
Mm-hmm.
into play, right? You're giving up to 2 feet in depth for an eave. Anything beyond that, we consider it a roof overhang. So you're not counting coverage on the eave, but once it goes past that point, now we have to start counting it as coverage.
Okay.
And
So
when-
it's just there may have been at some point a change in, it might have been 2018, I get it, but like, there was probably a change in the interpretation at some point.
Not a change in the bylaw, a change in the
No,
interpretation.
in the interpretation, that's
Right.
what I said.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
And Jay and Sarah and I have discussed putting something together for all of us, so we'd have it in black and white, so we know exactly what the game is.
And honestly, I don't care really which way it's measured. I just think we need to be sure that everybody knows. And even though you've told them a million times, I work in hotels, you gotta tell people 5,000, literally 5,000 times. I don't know, maybe there's like a one sheet we can print out for them.
Well, and that's part of the process about sending it out again, and it kind of goes back to what Buck was saying earlier today. Hey, look, you can only do so much.
Yeah.
You can't make them. And what's going to be happening is, as we have seen, Jay looks at the plan and says, hey, you need a variance.
Yeah.
The way it is, good luck.
And it's not a personal thing with me. It's just,
No,
I'm
me
trying
neither. I'm just trying to figure
interpret the
out-
way the bylaw was written, and that's my interpretation of it. If there's a bylaw change where people say, let's take it at the foundation, I'm all in favor of that.
Oh, and like
If
I
that's
said,
what
I
needs to
doesn't.
occur, but
It's not personal with me, I don't care. I
Right.
just want to make sure that we've given builders, architects, potential buyers of property that are thinking they can build to some sort of, like, blurb.
It
I work
does-
in marketing, so I'm like, give them a piece of paper, give them something.
it doesn't matter what the limit is, it's always going to be pushed.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, but this
So
would be, this would come, we would have less of what Jamie encountered today if we had something that said from day one, you
We've
know.
had it, we've gone over with other.
I'm not, you're defensive, and I don't mean to
no, I'm not
create a
being defensive at
defensive
all.
thing. I just want to, from a marketing perspective, because that's how I look at the world, we should tell people, like, shout it from the rooftop before they pay to have these plans done, that in Chatham, this is how it works, because it doesn't work like that everywhere.
Are they told when they take out the papers to do it?
That's what I mean.
There are so many interpretations that go along with the bylaw, we can't possibly interpret the bylaw for them on every aspect. We try to help them, we look at the plans, we try to coach them up and help them through the process. Our goal is to help them finish this job successfully, not to have to come back before the ZBA multiple times.
Right.
Yeah, that's all I
So,
want to make
yeah.
sure that we're doing, because I just want to make sure that if something has changed or is, we have a few things in Chatham that are just markedly different than other towns. It is what it is, it's no big
Absolutely.
deal. But we need to make sure we tell people,
We've told people.
okay,
Yeah.
because otherwise we just look like jerks.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, one of those things is, anybody who's been for here 10 years is still a newbie, or, no, I'm just kidding. I would just like to say, Dave, I'd like to have, what I'm hearing is, Jay caught this one, and Sarah, and I know, the staff is really doing everything they can, to try to head off. Everybody's trying to, what we're trying to do, avoid somebody having to come in here and need a variance because they pushed too close to the limit and then didn't give any latitude. I mean, I understand Buck, and Buck and I have maybe different perspectives on this, but, you know, he talks about building to the plan, et cetera, and I just don't think it's at all unusual getting from the paper and ink into building materials that you have little things change here and there. And there really should, as we've tried to encourage today, we should encourage people to give themselves some further latitude, you know, and that's what.
And while I recognize we can't interpret all pieces of the bylaw, there are probably, in the course of the 2 years that I've been here, 6 things, maybe 5 things that come up repeatedly. That's what I'm talking about from like a, hey, maybe we give it to all the builders that build in town. Maybe there's something that we do. I'm not like, trust me, I baby people, but it is what it is.
We do too.
I'm sure you do.
We coddle people. A lot of the people that are before you with problems have been talking to me about this for 4 years. They know of it. They're aware of it. They understand my position. I don't know why it continues to happen.
Okay.
That's why I'm going to be joining you at every meeting from here on out.
They keep pushing. Yeah, this is new, Megan. Sarah had the great idea, let's invite Jay to join us. And so it's wonderful. So thanks again for coming. And the next time, and the next time, and the next time, and the next time, and the next time.
Well, thank you.
So, okay. I need a roll call to end the meeting. What time is it?
We need a motion to end the meeting.
I move to
That would
close
be a
the,
good thing, way to start.
what do we call it, adjourn?
Yeah,
To
adjournment.
adjourn.
Dave, 8 seconds.
Buck approves.
Bill?
Bill approves.
Megan approves.
Randy approves.
Dave Veach
And
approves.
I approve. That official time is?
4:03 PM.
All right. Thank you, one and all.